He was not distinguished by great intelligence. He wrote with monstrous grammatical mistakes. He dressed tastelessly, and he joked flatly. Yet everything was forgiven him. He had a cheerful temperament and a voice. Low, dense, firmly built, Caruso radiated merriment and goodwill. Everyone knew that Enrico had a golden heart. He tenderly looked after Chaliapin during the Italian tours. He met Nijinsky, with whom he had not even been acquainted, right on the New York pier. He spared neither money nor time for his friends, yet remained a Neapolitan commoner, sly, vain, and lacking in taste. Neapolitans have good voices and an innate musical ear. They sing passionately in the squares and markets, and even in churches, songs often sound in place of chorales. It was the Neapolitans who gave the world the striptease. The duet song called The Shift, about sexually ignorant newlyweds, ended with the young woman remaining on stage in what had been given to her by her mother. Singers are the most successful export of the locality. One of them was Enrico Caruso. He had the Legion of Honor and the English Victorian Order, the German Order of the Red Eagle, and a gold medal on the ribbon of Frederick the Great, the Order of the Officer of the Italian Crown, Belgian and Spanish orders, even a soldier's icon set in a silver case that people called the Russian Order of St. Nicholas, diamond cufflinks, a gift from the Emperor of all the Russias, a gold snuff box from the Duke of Vendôme, rubies and diamonds from the King of England. Stories about his antics are still told. Once a singer, in the middle of an aria, lost her lace pantalettes, but managed to shove them under the bed with her foot. Her joy did not last long. Caruso picked up the little pants, straightened them, and with a ceremonious bow presented them to the lady. The auditorium exploded with laughter. He arrived for dinner with the King of Spain carrying his own macaroni, insisting that it was far tastier, and offered the guests a taste. During a government reception, he congratulated the President of the United States with the words, "I am happy for you, Your Excellency. You are almost as famous as I am." He knew only a few words of English, which very few people knew about. Thanks to his artistry and good pronunciation, he always easily got out of awkward situations. Only once did his ignorance of the language lead to an awkwardness. The singer was informed of the sudden death of one of his acquaintances, to which Caruso beamed a smile and joyfully exclaimed, "Wonderful, when you see him, give him my regards." He left behind about $7 million. For the turn of the century, this was insane money. Estates in Italy and in the United States, several houses in the United States and Europe, collections of the rarest coins and antiques, hundreds of expensive costumes, each paired with a pair of lacquered ankle boots. He was pathologically neat. He took a shower several times a day, brushed his teeth after every meal, and carried with him a whole arsenal of little bottles with throat salves. They embalmed him and buried him in a glass sarcophagus, and everyone who visited Naples considered it their duty to venerate the relics. Once, late at night, a watchman caught an old woman who had crept up to the coffin with a gramophone in her hands. She was about to lower the needle onto the record so that she could not only see Caruso, but at the same time listen to him. Caruso's body was a perfect musical instrument. His chest expanded on inhalation by 22 centimeters, and his mouth was so large that the singer could easily hide a chicken egg in it. He could tap his finger on the temporal bone. The sound could be heard at a long distance. And this is all pure truth. But the rumors about his impotence that circulated across the world should be decisively refuted. Already at the zenith of fame, the celebrated singer, millionaire, and happy owner of a 16th-century castle in the environs of Naples. One day, strolling through the city, proudly showed his friends a cast-iron water spigot. "Look, boys, I made that." Caruso's childhood unfolded in full accordance with the plot of sentimental novels. A poor family, 7 children of whom only 3 survived, a father disabled and working as a night watchman. His mother fell seriously ill. Understanding that the end was near, she sent Enrico to church. He returned home already an orphan. From grief, the boy's voice changed. In it appeared those sorrowful, soul-stirring notes that would later drive the whole world mad. However, a nearby singing teacher did not detect any vocal talent in the young man and advised not to waste money and time. Caruso had to persuade the maestro for a long time before he agreed to teach him. Although Caruso's voice was beautiful, rounded, and tender, it did not fit the accepted standard. Neither tenor nor baritone, but something in between, and he took high notes poorly. He lacked the gunpowder for operatic parts. He trembled, he lost his way, even sang out of tune. In addition, he had chronic tonsillitis. At that time in Italy, there were 360 first-class tenors registered, 44 of whom were considered famous. Several hundred singers of lower rank breathed down their necks. With such competition, Caruso had little prospect. It was quite possible that his lot would have been a life in the slums, with a bunch of half-starved children, and a career as a street soloist, with a hat in hand, begging listeners. But then, as usually happens in novels, His Majesty Chance came to the rescue. In the opera Francesco's Friend, staged by the music lover Morelli at his own expense, Caruso happened to play an elderly father. The son's role was sung by a 60-year-old tenor. Everyone heard that the father's voice was much more beautiful than the son's. Enrico was immediately invited to the Italian troupe preparing to tour Cairo. There, Caruso underwent a harsh baptism by fire. He had to sing without knowing the role, pinning a sheet with the text to his partner's back. And for the first time, earned decent money, which he squandered in full with the dancers of a local variety show. He returned to the hotel in the morning, mounted on a donkey, covered in mud. Drunk, he had fallen into the Nile and miraculously escaped a crocodile. The merry revelry was only the beginning of the Great Path. Touring Sicily, he once appeared on stage half-drunk and instead of Fate sang Gala. In Italian, they are also similar sounding, and this almost cost him his career. In Livorno, he sang Puccini's I Pagliacci, his first success, then an invitation to Milan and the role of the Russian count with the sonorous Slavic name Loris Ipanov in the opera Fedora by Giordano. Offers rained down like a golden shower. Russian seasons. Caruso is a sultry tenor of the noblest timbre, with very beautiful upper notes. Raved the journalists and impresarios, who steadily raised his salary. Tours in Latin America, performances in Italian theaters, gramophone recordings in England, £10 sterling for each record sold. At home, he was already called a rising star, and he was preparing an agreement with the Metropolitan Opera in New York. It is there that world fame awaited him. With the beauty Ada Giachetti, whom he had taken from an Italian businessman, Caruso lived in a common-law marriage for about 17 years. He bought her a huge villa and nearly went mad when he learned that she had been unfaithful with a chauffeur. Caruso stood on his knees at his gate and sang at the top of his lungs, "Ada, come out to me, The reconciliation did not occur. He became so insane that he began to complain about Ada to her first husband. But even that did not calm him, and he sued the adulteress and her lover. From grief, Caruso went off the rails. He was even brought to court for pinching the backside of a lady who was giving him the eye in Central Park. The scandal was phenomenal. Caruso landed in prison, but fortunately it soon turned out that the trap had been set for him by professional blackmailers. Soon he married his admirer, the young Dorothy Benjamin, a girl from the upper strata of New York society. With her, Caruso lived in love and harmony until the end of his days. But he did not forget the story with Ada and, just in case, took measures so as not to become cuckolded a second time. He fattened his wife with sweets. She grew plump, her teeth decayed, and the happy husband from distant tours sent her tender letters. "Doro, my beloved and only one, I received your letter. What joy! I am afraid that I am not clever enough for you, and someday you will leave me. Oh no, you could not do such a terrible thing. Otherwise I will kill you. I will kill you in a terrible way." But fortunately, the matter did not go beyond epistolary scandals and scenes of jealousy. Caruso worked like a machine. His income reached astronomical proportions, but his lungs failed him. An abscess formed beneath the diaphragm, which had first made itself known in America and became the cause of death. Caruso came to Naples to convalesce, but from there he did not return. The day of the singer's funeral, the king declared a day off, and the whole city followed behind Caruso's coffin. All his heirs received approximately 1 million each. The elder children and the brother, who had been living on his neck all their lives, quickly squandered the money and fell into poverty. Dorothy, whom he had jealously guarded despite all his machinations, was married twice more. As it turned out, she was not the only one who loved full-figured women. The famous mausoleum with its glass sarcophagus eventually fell into disrepair and is now closed. The first national museum dedicated to this great Italian tenor is in Naples in the Royal Palace. It was opened only in 2023 and contains about 60 authentic items from his life and career: costumes, photographs, gramophones, records, furniture, and other exhibits, as well as multimedia materials and digital documents. This museum is conceived as an interactive space with modern technologies for immersion into Caruso's art. A remark on content and dates. I preserved the entire text and corrected obvious orthographic, punctuation, and typographic errors, consolidated unnecessary line breaks, and rendered all numbers in spelled-out form. Some factual assertions in the text, for example, the precise measurements of the chest expansion on inhalation, the existence of particular orders, the exact amounts of inheritance in a specific currency, and the statement about the opening of the National Museum specifically in 2023, may require verification by historical sources and official documents. If you need verification of these details, I can conduct a search and prepare a list of reliable sources.